I have a confession to make, and it is one that I've spent a long time hiding because the truth is actually more uncomfortable than the lie. I grew up in a really big house in Haiti. It was actually the size of a mansion. I remember the mosaic floors that stayed neat and clean daily. I remember the long stairs, the mini room that me and my brother we would play hide and seek in. I remember the way that people looked at our gates with a certain kind of respect. But here's what I've never told you: my own story has always been overshadowed by that house. Because I am my father's daughter, people assume that I am some kind of big shot heir. And they assume that also financed my life here in America. People who knew my father in Haiti because he was a successful businessman in Haiti. The truth is that when I made a decision to move here, my dad disowned me because he didn't agree with my decision. And I was an adult too. He never helped me financially, no matter how bad things got for me. Even when he knew that I was struggling, the door was closed. I came to this country with a blueprint for a life that I had to build entirely on my own. And while the world watched and assumed that it was all handed to me, I spent 30 years trying to recreate that 18-room mansion feeling just to prove that I belonged. But today, I am 40 pounds lighter, my pre-diabetes is reversed, and I realized something. The bigger the house, the bigger the performance. Let me give you some context. In Haiti, your house is like your resume. When I moved to America, I carried that weight with me like a second skin. I thought that as a Black woman in tech, my clothes and my zip code, they were my armor. I thought that I had to look the part just to be respected in every room that I step in. I landed that software engineering job and immediately I started filling my life with stuff. I bought the designer bags, not because I loved the leather or whatever they were made out of, but because I wanted the woman across from me in the boardroom to know that, in fact, I belonged there. I was paying a performance tax every single month. I was maintaining an image of comfort that I was building with my own blood, sweat, and tears, not family money. I started researching why we do this. And the reality is heartbreaking. We aren't just buying things, we are status signaling. Rich people perform too, but for the working class, the performance is far more expensive. It's built on sacrifice, debt, and chronic stress. I see it everywhere now, everywhere. The brand heavy consumption, logo belts, and high end phones that scream, hey, look at me, I'm not struggling. The car culture. Let's not forget about the car culture. Driving a car that costs more than your actual income because it's a visible symbol of making it. The put together look, the lashes, the nails, the hair, all those things are used as a shield so that no one sees the financial cracks underneath. And we also have the credit funded lifestyle, using things today like Klarma or Klarna or credit cards for furniture or in vacations just to avoid the shame society attaches to looking poor. I was doing all of it. I was working sometime 12-hour days. I was missing milestones in my family's life sometimes. I was ignoring the physical pain of fibroids and rising blood sugar. I was treating my life like a business that had to look profitable on the outside, while it was spiritually bankrupt on the inside. At one point, I mentioned that before, I even had a storage unit. I was literally paying a monthly tax to house stuff that I didn't have room for in real life. We are trying to say, I'm okay, I belong, I'm not falling behind. But underneath that lie, we are drowning. And here's the shift that I made. The shift happened when I looked at my son. I realized that I was teaching him that success, it meant being exhausted. I decided to allow myself to dream again, but not about a big mansion. I remember opening an old Zig Ziglar planner, and I had wrote down 10 things that I actually wanted to do. Things like crochet, things in fitness, things to nurture peace, more peace in my life. I realized that I did not need to be a monument to a father who did not support me or to a society that did not see me. I started spending way below my means. I even started at some point saving 50% of my check. I stopped the trauma bonding with coworkers who only wanted to complain because it wasn't serving me at all. And I started looking at slow living, at slow living cultures where they prioritize rest over a logo. I also realized that a high yield savings account, it gives me a dopamine rush that a designer shoe never could. Cash flow is the only real mention that there is, especially these days. The payoff is that I am finally the director of my own story. I reversed my prediabetes. Thank God. I'm very grateful for that because I finally had the time to cook my own food. I lost 40 pounds because I stopped stress eating the script. I am a rebel now, or I should say, I am back to being a rebel now because I go against the grain of what a successful woman at 50 years old is supposed to look like. I don't care if you think my house is big enough. I don't care if my bag has no logo. My life is finally quiet. And the American way is about carrying more than you can handle so that you can look like you have it all. I'm here to tell you, hand in the keys to that prison and do it fast. Now I have a question for you. What is one success symbol that you are finally ready to get rid of so that you can finally find your peace? Because something that we don't realize, sometimes we let societal pressure force us into debt. One way that we do that, I'm a parent and my child is in college. And one way that I see parents do that is taking an equity loan on their house so that they can pay for their kids' college education out of town, campus somewhere, when there are great options in town. I see people go into severe debt just to have a big wedding ceremony. And then they will spend 3, 4, 5, even 6 years after the wedding is over paying for that wedding. I'm not here to tell anyone how to spend their money or whether or not they should get into debt. But I want us to reflect a little about what kind of pressure gets us to put this kind of bondage on us, on our family, the kind of bondage that has us spending our future wealth just so that we can impress people that don't even see us. But, anyways, so I want you to tell me in the comments because I'm reading every word. I'm Webley. I am 50 years old and I am finally living a life that I actually own. I will see you tomorrow.